Alright, good evening, Vice Forecaster JD Rapp with you back in the Breaking Weather Center this evening. And we're tracking these strong thunderstorms up here in parts of Wisconsin this evening. These storms look very strong and very intense. We're getting several reports coming in of very large hail. And we need to get Isaac to come in pretty soon to help me out here. So we'll take a look at these severe thunderstorm warnings have been into in the last couple hours. This storm, the reason why we came on, the severe thunderstorm warning effect for north central Goshoot County and north central Rich counties at into around 8 p.m. At 7:19, a severe thunderstorm located along the line extending from Farmington to near Northfield, moving at 40 miles an hour. So, folks, this is booking at 40 miles an hour. Hazardous tennis ball size hail and 60 miles of wind from a trained spotter. So, people and animals that be outdoors could be injured. So, this is some very large hail we've been having this evening. This is why we're continuing to keep you informed. First of all, we'll pull up our hail account and look at this. Gosh. Folks, we're starting to see very large hail of these storms. And we'll pull up our... See, we're getting up to 2 inches, 2.5. Alright. Let's see who made it on here. Isaac, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
You definitely have a decent hail core there. You can see all the purples there on reflectivity.
Sorry.
Again, you got a lot of saturated air column within that updraft too. So just seeing what we have on radar. We've been lustrous storms. We've had several reports ranging from golf ball to tennis ball hail east of Eau Claire towards Unity and Marsh Field. Whether we've had reports of hail damage or anything, not for sure, but we've had confirmed reports of tennis ball size activity.
Yeah, these are just some very powerful storms, Isaac, and I'm very concerned that we could be seeing a lot of hail with these storms. Also, looking through the weather velocity and see if we have any rotation. We don't really see any rotation, do we? But what'd you say? All right, just got a report coming in, Isaac, just from the computer here. 1.75 inches of hail. That's golf balls.
Yeah, we've had various reports of golf balls hail at this point. I am going to point out a lot of the rotation you're seeing in the atmosphere.
New severe thunderstorm watch till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and again, this overspreads most of the areas that, again, just ahead of this activity there across, again, and sections of... hold on, let me check my other feeds here. But again, the new severe watch here is going to include pretty much all of. Again, this would be all of southern Minnesota, or not the entirety of southern Minnesota, but most of the Minneapolis counties that are in there. So this would include areas south of Minneapolis there. This would also include areas from Fairmount to Albert Lea up north, and this still includes areas like Menominee. And looking at some of the radar data that I'm seeing here that we're seeing, but there's this one intense cell that I'm looking at in there. Looks like we have a really nasty hail core, like with several these. And again, that could be some significant hail.
Yeah, I'm getting a little more
With this hack here,
concerned
also
of some more
looking.
problems again, Isaac. We're starting to get a little rotation. I thought I saw something here. Let me check your
Yeah, and again,
velocity. Red next to green there. That could be some rotation.
very true, very true. But again, I will say that that appears to be darker red versus darker green. Generally that tends to be weaker gate to gate shear, and um, generally that will not necessarily indicate that the storm is likely going to produce a tornado necessarily either. But again, if that wind shear does tighten up, uh, or you get some a very
Mm-hmm.
concentrated area where there's circulation, that's where some a tornado
Mm-hmm.
probability would increase with that activity. But a lot of the activity we're seeing is in the form of elevated convection. We've been following the mesoscale trends throughout the day, over much
Mm-hmm.
of Minnesota
Yeah.
into now clipping into parts of western Wisconsin and also northeast Iowa. That's an area where we're starting to see some increasing boundary
Mm-hmm.
layer instability. And generally speaking, and the dew points and everything there are really oppressive here. And we're talking like over a
Mm-hmm.
broader area. So like again, from like dew points in the mid and upper 60s and 70s, stretching all the way into Illinois. And again, this is kind of factoring in surface dew points, but also the dew points. Again, interacting with that boundary. And when you need to have those dew points to fire off moisture available for storms, and that's going to factor into that hail potential that we're seeing with that, because again, we're seeing a lot of forcing and dynamic lift that's in place with these storms here. And again, the more intense cell here has developed a really intense updraft. And again, the lapse rates and everything are fairly sufficient, and we are
Yeah,
expecting
echo tops are
some of
very
those.
impressive, Isaac. Look at this.
I was going to say the storm tops. I'm going to kind of assess that. It looks to be or 50,000 feet further aloft where the storm tops are. And I was going to say, looks like maximum probably about 55 kft there. So those. So again,
Wow.
the so the storm tops there. That generally indicates, that's where the dendritic hail growth zone is in terms of where your temperatures are. But again, it also goes to show you have lots of lift and instability, and also wind shear further aloft. That's really helped. It's helping to drive these hail cores within these cells there. So lots of times when you see a um, intense cell, you can get an overshooting top, or you kind of get a decent tall anvil cloud. Um, and again, I will point out that that is where, again, again, the storm tops are like, again, this is well below freezing, 10 degrees below 0 Celsius to 20 degrees below 0 Celsius. And
Mm-hmm.
again, and the effective wind shear is also another thing that am going I will continue to look at here on some of the mesoanalysis products that we're getting. So the effective wind
New
shear,
severe
again, this is
thunderstorm warning for Clark
I'm going
County,
to look
central
at the three
Wisconsin to
to
about 8:15.
yeah, and once again, we've been monitoring and following the latest warnings here. But again, we want to also keep a really close eye here on the on seeing how these storms do trend over time. And And again, like I said, we're seeing lots of dynamic lift and instability, boundary layer instability with this. And again, I do anticipate that this will persist. Again, we're seeing, the dew points and the temperatures and everything are still going to be supportive for these intense cells, and these may propagate into
I
um,
do too.
a complex of storms that I do think the wind threat is going to increase as well throughout the night. So
Yeah,
we'll see
I'd
various
agree.
reports of, yeah, and again, um, but again, as we have a little bit more stable air to work with in the morning, especially talking about folks in northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and into eastern Iowa. Again, the initial concern, I do think that uh, we're going to be a little bit lower on the instability as you tend to work with a little bit somewhat more stable air, but we're still going to. I do think that the severe risk ramps up again tomorrow, and this will be more in the form of a damaging
Yep.
wind risk here with that complex of
Yep.
storms and the back
Maybe
end of that
tornado.
convective. And once again, uh, while we cannot rule out tornadoes, especially embedded circulations this um, along this system here. And again, the system may stall out a little ways here as it tracks through. But so what? So we're looking at more of a quasi-stationary uh, frontal system here. So what tends to happen there is the storms are still moving in a easterly direction there, but they tend to stall out, or the boundary stalls out, so it stags. You're still getting some good storm motion along that, but you will still see more training of those individual storms. So you may get multiple rounds of severe storms in some localized instances here. And again, just seeing what I'm just taking a look here at mesoanalysis here. I do think we are going to see some impressive elevated speed shear here with storms as well here. And what that why that concerns me there is, again, these will help these more intense cells maintain their tops for some time. And again, it'll be sporadic where storms are, these intense cells are off and on. We're not talking like 2-inch hail all night or anything like that with these same
Mm-hmm.
individual cells, but
That's
any
right.
storm will build to that potential there, because again, there's still lots of dynamic lift and instability in place.
Plenty of
So I
moisture.
would, yeah, and plenty of moisture all around to go along with this system. So we are looking at
It's
that
just like you
progressive.
stepping out, Isaac. Here's something else I want to. Here's something else I want to say to everybody else too. It's just like stepping outside today. It's so muggy. You got the humidity. It's the air you wear. It's the the that boiling air you got. It's just like you're boiling a pot on a stove and bubbles pop up. That's how it is, right, Isaac?
Yeah, exactly. And generally, what tends to happen, you're kind of describing, when you get that surface heating. So when the air gets to the right convective temperature, obviously the air doesn't saturate till it's well further aloft. Then that's where you get rain and everything. But when you get to the convective temperature, that's when the warm air starts to rise. And then you're also factoring in the wet bulb temperature within there is when get to the convective temperature. That's where again it's the air gets to that point of buoyancy there, and then you're talking lower level of lower condensation level indications there near the ground. And again,
Mm-hmm.
where we're talking where and again, where we get to that convective temperature, it gets to the point where it may break the capping inversion there. So where you get the
Mm-hmm. That's what we have today.
and again, what that indicates there, you may get some surface heating that will factor that will that will pan into this setup as a whole. So again, we're more than likely going to end up seeing here is more boundary layer instability. And again, this definitely does factor in with the temperatures we are seeing here at the ground. Because again, we're seeing this heat and humidity definitely play into this severe potential here, all across the area here. And again, we're starting to get we'll start to see that convergence here, that front kind of come in, and again, just the and the accompanied trough there. Again, that's also what's helping this support this dynamic lift and all the ingredients that are factoring into this severe potential that we are looking at here. And again, as we go throughout the night, I would also expect, again, as the storms encounter
New
more
severe
stable
thunderstorm.
air aloft, as these storms encounter somewhat more stable air further aloft, you'll still have instability to work with that will help maintain these storms. And I would expect that some storms will have higher D-Cape values, so downdraft instability that will still factor in. So you may get some recurring updraft, downdraft cycles. And what tends to happen with that is, you get, so the storms will still recycle, and
Yeah, they will. I mean, I'm not going to completely rule that out either.
The strong winds from further aloft ground.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
National
where
Weather
you start
Service
seeing
just
your
issued a new
potential
warning.
5-mile-per-hour gusts or higher.
Yeah, new severe
Maybe
thunderstorm
up in the
warning
neighborhood
for
of 7 miles per hour.
southwestern Shelby County, and so this warning from Minnesota, and it's capable of producing up to 60 miles of wind gusts and half dollar size hail. So, I mean, we could be seeing maybe some damage in wind gusts more than hail this time. You think so?
Towards Lakeville. Yeah. Following that convex, or following these cells here that are popping up here near New Ulm, that also several other cells up towards Lakeville. I'm keeping a close eye on. I'm going to keep a really close eye on. Here, I'm going to switch to the Chanhassen
All right, the
radar
news,
here.
Isaac. I'm getting. Yeah, I got a new storm. I'm just taking a look at. This storm over here is really giving me concern, Isaac. Hazardous 2-inch hail and 60 miles of wind gust.
Yeah, and once again, you are seeing a decent hail core within there, and there's a lot of saturated air. There's that saturated air column within that updraft. That's and what I'm seeing here, I'm still pulling up some more information here, trying to get some of the effective shear indications here. I'm trying to get the upper level speed shear values here. That's not pulling up. But once again, I will point out that I will point out that any cell that you will likely end up seeing in that particular area, again, we've been getting various hail reports already to this point, but just from a meteorological point of view here, you are seeing lots of dynamic lift and instability with this activity here. But we also want to kind of factor in that this is an area where we're seeing some pretty impressive boundary layer instability, and I do think that the supercell, discrete supercell mode, will likely maintain itself for several more hours when you're talking across, like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this thing's going to slow down, Isaac. I'd agree with you.
But I'm not talking that this will be the severe risk is going to be nonstop. Again, more local, where we do see the more localized instances of, like I said, upwards of tennis ball sized hail. I will say that this is, we've been getting various hail reports with that cluster here throughout the evening here. but we're still going to be talking like well into the nighttime hours or close to 1 o'clock in the morning when you're talking about this initial severe thunderstorm watch that will likely be allowed to expire
Yeah,
at that time.
and
Maybe a new
yeah, I'm gonna
watch
touch
will
on
be
something like this,
later
Isaac.
in the night. Um,
Normally, we
I,
don't.
but again,
Yeah.
we're not expecting at this
Normally, we've
point.
been. Normally, thunderstorms kind of quiet down after 2 o'clock in the morning, but this is one of these nights where it's so muggy. You step outdoors, it's just very sticky outside tonight. You got plenty of moisture, lots of energy in the battery to get stuff going. And I seen these weather events, Isaac, go on for hours and and never stop because you got everything in there you need, right?
Well, exactly, and I mean, generally, we're not expecting a substantial severe weather outbreak exclusive to like the overnight by
No,
any
we don't
means.
expect that.
Again, what we're
But it
talking
only
about is
takes one
somewhat.
sail.
Well, again, the atmosphere is going to kind of stabilize throughout the night, and again, generally, again, this is further elevated instability. We will potentially still see some severe weather concerns here throughout the night. And again, tends to be on a more localized scale there. They still got a slight risk extending well into northern Illinois and
Yeah.
sections of
Yeah, I
Wisconsin
got
and
a
eastern Iowa. And
report for you, Isaac. Tree limbs down. We also have tree limbs down also now.
yeah, I was going to say, do they have like a specific measurement, like the diameter at the root of the tree limbs?
No,
Because
they just
maybe
say
the
here
length
tree
of them.
limbs also down. That's all they say.
Yeah, I was going to say generally, these are cells that will likely end up producing some shape or form of tree damage. And again, where we're talking the more intense cells here that do pop up, you're going to see where you're seeing the stronger downdraft cores. That is, or where you're seeing the purples and reds on radar. That's where you're seeing some strong downdraft cores potentially. So you're getting some strong wind and rain associated with that. And on the velocity data, these are the winds several thousand feet off the ground. Indications are for potentially 60 to 65 mile per hour gusts, maybe even a bit stronger further aloft. So the velocity data are picking up at about maybe a little bit higher at the peak. But again, this is several thousand feet off the ground. These are not the winds that
Wow.
like where you cannot rule out some peak gusts like in that threshold. I would expect that along the downdraft core, you will likely end up seeing gusts approaching 60 to 65 generally
Yeah, new
at
severe
max.
thunderstorm
But
warning.
again, yeah, and again, we've been seeing
And this
several
storm is
warnings, but we want
capable
to kind
of
of
golf
address the
ball size
situation
hail.
as a whole. Yeah, and we want to kind of focus on not the individual warnings in the counties. I'm sure, it's always good to tune to a local source of weather information. We want to kind of address, the situation as a whole here. Obviously, the mesoscale conditions there. Yeah, I was going to say this new
All right,
warning
just got another.
from Ellsworth to Red Cedar to Elmwood. Um, and again,
Yeah,
the
it's capable of
particular
producing 2 inch
mesosphere
hail.
here. Yeah. I was gonna say.
Let's see. Yeah, there's a little bit of shear
I was gonna
there.
say. Yeah, I was gonna say. Along the. Again, these storms are definitely growing upscale here, and again, the mid-level lab traits are definitely steep, and we're seeing some strong buoyancy as we've been talking about here. The temperatures are fairly warm and unstable ahead of these storms, and along that we've got an area of thunderstorm outflow there that's present there. Um, and again, I can definitely tell on radar there that you're getting some dynamic lift there with some of the columns that are forming there just ahead of the storms there. And again, we're not seeing like any explosive upscale growth at this same time. There's
No.
still enough instability to help maintain. These are fairly mature cells by the look of
Yeah,
what
just
we've
getting a
been
marker
seeing.
show me hail size up to 3.25. This is what it shows right over here.
Yeah, and once again, that is again, there are many different meteorological factors that determine hail getting to that size. But again, it is likely like there's an algorithm on that program, and I will kind of pinpoint that. Well, once again, we cannot pinpoint the exact hail size. That doesn't mean that is the hail size that is on the ground. More than likely, if
No.
you're seeing an icon with that, it's because the storm heights are pretty tall, but also you're talking the
Mm-hmm.
strong updrafts and some of the strong velocity returns you're seeing further aloft. That
Yeah, folks,
elevated
if you go to bed
speed
tonight,
shears
charge up
also.
your devices.
Yeah, and we've been again. I will say again, especially folks in again. We want to kind of tie this down to like again, folks in let's say southern Wisconsin. I would say southeast Minnesota more over the next couple of hours, and also sections of
Mm-hmm.
eastern Iowa. I would still keep a close eye on this again.
Do we need an
The
Illinois storm watch on
the
or
highest
not?
not at this point. We're not particularly concerned about anything here locally yet. But once again, I will point out there again with that with what we're seeing right now here. Again, we're likely seeing again the rich area of thunderstorm outflow there. You're seeing lots of upscale growth. Again, we're seeing strong buoyancy. The temperatures and everything are pretty high. So we're in that environment that's primed for these multi-cell clusters, maybe some supercells in there that will potentially lead to some higher
Mm-hmm.
hail. And once again, we've been keeping a close eye on some of the developments here
Yeah, I've been watching
throughout
this all day. I mean,
the night.
and like I said,
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna tell everybody right now, Isaac, for you. I was gonna say to everybody, if you go to bed tonight, make sure you have your weather radio in handy just in case you get warnings. I mean, even these warnings, this could converge to a damaging wind threat, and we may not be talking about a tornado threat, but even we see winds over 60, 70, that could topple a tree for your window, and that's why we were really concerned, right, Isaac?
yeah, very true. We've been again keeping a close eye on some of the developments we've been getting here um, throughout the day here. Still have
Me
still have
too.
plenty of other
Yeah, we just keep on getting reports of a
here, and again, I
2.5
would
inches of
expect the bigger
hail,
risk to
2 point.
yeah, we've been getting various reports of hail ranging from golf ball to tennis ball size. Looks like the activity here, you're still getting a strong downdraft core with that cell south of Nailsville,
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin, towards Maryland. Yeah, definitely a strong
Mm-hmm.
downdraft core with that one. That is going to be clipping areas
Mm-hmm.
around Sherwood. And just seeing what I got here in Wisconsin, here, Clark and Jackson County, still keeping an eye on that. But again, we also have several other storms keeping a close eye
Me
on
too.
here. A strong downdraft core, also accompanied by some strong elevated speed shear here. Definitely some indication here for potentially wind gusts approaching this 65 mile per hour threshold there. And again, this is
Okay.
east of Neilsville over Marshfield. Mostly, yeah, I was going to say, again, these are predominantly lower population vicinities there. Again, having a history of producing some hail, potentially some hail damage there east of Eau Claire. And once again, I will
Mm-hmm.
point out there, this this area of storms will be tracking.
What happened?
Towards areas around home point here, and a little bit more there. Quite a bit of instability.
Still there, Isaac? Isaac, I'll be back on probably soon. Probably. You still there? Be right back, folks.
The permissions reset on there. But yes, what they are expecting here is, there will still be some upscale growth with that activity there across, especially further west into Wisconsin there, into Minnesota there. That's where you're seeing a lot of the dynamic lift and instability that we're likely going to be seeing there. And we are still going to be monitoring for the potential for some large hail, and this will transition to more of a wind threat overnight. You're seeing that outflow, area of thunderstorm outflow extending well into Minnesota there, and that's the indication there where we're seeing more dynamic lift and instability in place. We're also continuing to monitor the developments there coming out of the tropics. We'll have more about that soon. But at this point here, we encourage you to stay tuned for more fine-tuned updates here and damage reports. We'll do our best to communicate via live feeds, and again, always be sure to have a good way to receive warnings, and also be sure you have a plan in case you lose power, and have some non-perishables on hand in case of an emergency. I'm sure we're not talking a major outbreak by any means, but folks across southeast Minnesota and Wisconsin into northern Illinois and eastern Iowa still going to be looking at an active night, and we'll keep a close eye on it. We'll keep you posted. This is USA Severe Weather Network. We will see you soon.
Alright, thank you, Isaac. We'll continue to track these storm events right now. We've still got that severe thunderstorm warnings in place. And we're going to have to continue to track these severe thunderstorm warnings. Main risk tonight is going to be these damage and straight line winds and hail. So while we're continuing on, that's still producing up a 2-inch hail and golf ball size hail. Still capable of producing 60 miles of wind. So, yeah, these storms are still hail producers tonight. So let me pull up velocity. Don't see any very strong to produce any strong sheared. But yeah, these storms still capable tonight are producing some potentially strong to damage the straight line winds and hail. That's been the biggest thing. Me and Isaac have been tracking hail for the last 30 minutes. And let me check this. And you can see, look at this. Gosh. Are you kidding me, folks? We're indicating a very large hail with these storms. And we still have 2 inches with these storms. That severe thunderstorm wind goes in effect at 8:45 for Dunn County in central Wisconsin. And in Payne County in northwestern Wisconsin. These storms could produce very large hail this evening, and this is another severe thunderstorm warning and 60 miles of wind gust. And see, we got 1-inch hail from the public, golf ball size hail to tennis ball. So once you start getting tennis ball, like I said, that is just going to beat on a car, tear up wind is. That is a strong thunderstorm, and we've been tracking these in the last couple hours. If you just joined us from Wisconsin, if you have any family members, we do have a new severe thunderstorm watch that covers this area to about 1 o'clock in the morning. We would have to continue to watch this, and you still got the severe thunderstorm warning. This storm is capable of producing the hail the size of quarters, and you can see that is pretty strong. And I just don't think the winds are going to be strong with this, but once you start seeing these strong winds like there are now, these could enough to cause some damage a little bit. So we're continuing to watch this huge cluster of thunderstorms right now, and these will be capable of producing some very large hail with it. So right now it's about 8:05. We're doing thunderstorms right now, still tracking this line of storms that's been going on since the last 37 minutes we've been on with you, because we're having a line of thunderstorms that are producing some very strong hail tonight. Large hail is going to be the biggest concern. We could have another watch be into later on. That is still a possibility. I mean, we'll just have to see how fast this line moves, but this is some very large hail. We would have to watch this tonight. So right now, I'm going to do one more sweep here. Still getting some red. That'd be 50 to 60, maybe even 70. So if you're in the severe thunderstorm warning at 8:04, severe thunderstorm is located along the line extending from Entwer or 6 miles of Gohu Munition 50 miles an hour. So folks, this line is booking at 50 miles an hour. So hazard, ping pong ball size hail and 60 miles of wind gust. So I would just take cover. Go to the lowest floor, take these storms as tornadoes just to get away from the winds in case one of these storms will topple a tree on top of your head or knock a tree on you. That's the best thing to do. Just get away from all the winds. This is a line of thunderstorms, a little cluster storms that we do get, these little sails. So far, there's no rotation in them to cause tornadic. Overall, get the storm a little credit. If it continued to tide up, we would have a spin up or two. But these storms are very strong this evening, and we will continue to pass along any updates that we have. And rainfall totals are just looking light, maybe at least an inch, but I think this are just coming down very heavy, and that's why we're not very slow sometimes. Is why we're not seeing a bunch of flooding. So we will continue to keep you updated, and I'll break in if we need to this evening. For right now, I am Vice Forecaster JD Rapp with you back in the Weather Center. We will continue to cut in as we need to.